Hey guys, welcome back. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but I just felt really dirty, right? I mean, yes, we've got obviously projects all listed and everything, but if you look at the code, I mean, this is why I hated WordPress in the first place. Because it was very tedious, right? The whole process of, even though we are using the Blade template at the moment, right? Thanks to the hard work done by the Sage guys. But if you look at it, I mean, still, it just, yeah, I don't have any words really to describe how I feel and how I used to feel keeping track of these counts, keeping track of the query. So in this case, thankfully we don't have many things going on, but imagine we used to have repeater fields and everything would be so mixed up, right? So in this lesson, what we are going to do is we will see how we can clean this up, how we can extract this logic and clean up our views. Ideally, views should be really dumb, right? All views needs to do is receive the data, loop over the data and just display the data. It doesn't need to know about the query. It doesn't need to know about this is like sort of a business logic, and at the moment we've got to right here in the view. So you're mixing up your HTML with the backend. Nonetheless, don't despair. Let's see what we can do. So the first thing, which comes baked in, and it's one of the actions rather, if you look at the post here, so what happens is when you use the post action, then what you could do is you can basically do something with the post itself. Okay, you can modify it and do whatever you want. We will talk about what does Sage means in here, because behind the scene, Sage is just a way of binding into the container, which again is the same container which is used in Laravel. This container, this concept is very powerful, right? We will talk about it and we'll play around with the container. Why is it important and how can that make our life easier? In a nutshell, just to give you a summary, container is like, in fact, let's think about it this way. I'm sure that you guys go out on night out or something, right? And when you go out and before you get into, I don't know, a bar or a club, there is always a place for the jackets, and you just basically give them the jacket, they give you a tag, you enjoy your night out, and by the time when you finish and you're about to leave, you just go back, give them the ticket, and they just give you whatever you had given them. Exactly the same thing in here. This is what container does. Okay, so as I said, we will basically play around with the container a bit later on. However, that's just a very much, a very much higher overview of what container is. It's nothing else, but you can actually give it something and tag it, and then you can use that tag, okay, to retrieve whatever you want from it. And that's about it. Okay, cool. So now that we have a post here, which is in the action, and we bind that post, right, and we're sharing it, by the way, in the Blade files, but it is available to us. Okay, so if I were to go back, let's have a look. That's not the file. If I were to come here, let's see what we can do. So the first thing I can do, because I have access to post, I can remove the first conditional. Great. And it feels great when you are removing, the convoluted code and you're making it easier. So I can say post title. Great. Okay. Now here, rather than just saying content, I can go ahead and say post content. Great. So that's the first round of cleanup. We got rid of the first conditional. Second thing, I'm going to take this away. Okay. I will come back here and I'll rename this to projects, and I'm just going to stick in the arguments here. Great. So we've got arguments and we've got the query here. Okay. Here, what I will do, I can now do something like this, that if the query post count, and let's say if it is greater than 0, okay, we are going to do something. Okay, and let's make a variable here, a temporary one for now. Projects is equal to an array. Great. So if the query post count is greater than 0, what we could do is basically get the variable projects. Let's do array map, which accepts a function. And in here we have now access to the project. Okay. So obviously the second part would be the post is itself. Okay, something like this. Great. And now in here, I'll just go back and grab the fields, right? And I'll just stick them here. Great. So remember, get field, the ACF field, you need to pass in the project because you're not in the normal WP query loop, if that makes sense. Okay. Great. So now that we have all the variables that we need, that our view rely upon, we can go ahead and just simply return. And by the way, we will massively clean up this code. Okay, so don't worry about that. And I will now go ahead, return URL. I will also return title. I will also go ahead and return alt, then the caption. Okay. And then we don't need the size because size is getting used here, so I'll just go ahead and return the thumb. And that would be the thumb itself. Okay. Same thing with the width and height. Okay. And finally, we have the height. Okay. Great. What we could do is we can just return an object. Okay. Basically, we've got projects, and the projects now contains an array of these objects. I forgot the name. We initialized the required fields and basically got the values for them fields, right? And we have constructed now an array of objects. Once we're done with the query itself, right? And this would be the if statement. Yes, it is. Okay. We can go ahead and ask for the reset post data, so that can reset it back to the point where we started manipulating the query. Okay. And now we can just simply say return projects, and that should do the trick. So that means if I were to come back, okay, I can just remove that. I can clean this up. And for now, let me just comment that out. We will talk about this shortly. but I can just remove everything. Remove that as well. Wow, that's clean, right? Feels better, much better. But okay, in fact, oh yeah, can't wait to clean that up. Right, so now we have access to the public function which comes to the blade as a variable. So that means I can just basically use the beautiful syntax. So for each projects as project, oops, okay, and I will say and for each. Great. Okay, I can take this piece of code, okay, just bring it over here, stick it there, and in fact that needs to be outside. Okay, great. So let's just clean up. Okay, so with any luck, obviously we're not going to get the correct results because obviously we have removed the count variable, but that's not a problem. We'll come back to it. Let's see, what do we get? And there is nothing at the moment. Let's see if we made any mistake. So if we come back, yeah, project is fine. Page projects, okay. Let's do this. So if I were to debug, let's see, what do we get? Oh, you know why? Because now this would become, this is not going to be thumb, but rather project thumb, okay? This will become project alt, and this will become project title. Great. And this will become project name. Okay, there we go. That's what we wanted, and that's what we have. So let's have a look how we can now achieve this. Okay, is Blade going to help us? Of course it will. That's why it's, you know, it's great. So if you look at the new loop variable, in fact you can have a look at Laravel documentation. So if I go there and look at Blade loop, and we can actually see what the loop gives us. Okay, so that's a bit of a pseudocode there, but this is what we want. Great. And it tells you all about loop. You've got index, iteration, right? Remaining, count, everything, probably pretty much everything that you would need. So we would simply go ahead and we will say that if the loop iteration modulus of that is equal to 0, then we do want to run this code. Okay, so I'm just going to copy that, paste it here, indent it a little. Okay, give it space and then just remove that. And by any luck, we should get the result, and we do. Okay, and this is what, you know, Sage is trying to do. Okay, our view at the moment is very much dumb in a way that it is getting some variables, and the whole job of view, as it should be, is to actually display the information. It's not doing any logic because all the logic is here. Okay, so we have basically now removed the logic and we've put it here in this controller. We are not going to stop here. Obviously we are going to clean it up even further, but I think for now that's good enough. Okay, so in the next lesson we are going to build the individual page where when you click on each project it takes you to its individual page where it will give you all the information about the project, right? Yeah, we will explore different ways of cleaning up the code even further. Okay, right, so I will see you guys in the next lesson.